you've coached hundreds of people. You've done more than 10,000 cold approaches. What would you tell to a guy at home right now watching this broadcast who's just like, I want to fucking get better with women, and I want to fucking, get the girls that I want? Like, what would you tell that guy? Like, day one, he starts his pickup journey today. What would you tell him?
Yeah, I mean, you have to do it. You have to do it. You have to stop doing things that are peripheral to it and think you're making progress, and you have to just do it, right? A lot of guys will invent things. They'll say like, I have to do XYZ before I can do it, right?
Yeah.
If there's any like, I need this, I need that before I can start, right? Anything that comes in that sentence before I can start is bullshit, right? No matter what it is, right? So, like, I mean, okay, maybe like if you're literally in a hospital bed and you can't move, then maybe, right? That's about it, right? Anything other than that is just bullshit, right? So
Cope, right?
Yeah. So just you have to take yourself and put yourself in a situation in front of a beautiful woman. And it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's not meant to feel pleasurable, right? But also try to imagine the worst possible scenario, right?
Yeah.
The worst possible thing that can happen. It's not actually that bad, right? It's not actually that bad. You probably tell yourself worse things than the girl will ever tell you, right? Every day of your life, right?
That's deep.
So, if you can handle it from yourself, you can handle it from some other girl, right?
There's a big divide between guys like you who actually get out there and live life, and then you watch, because there's a lot of people in the community I call red pill masturbators. They know all the fucking lingo, they got all the fucking books, and they got them framed, they got a picture taken with Rollo Tomasi and all that shit, right? And there's guys like you who you just get out there and you fucking do it. I think it's so much more rewarding to live the kind of life that you're living, because although it is the harder path, you got to realize, like, because it's harder, it's also the path least traveled. So you can have less competition. And we were talking about it before the show started. Like, if you do all these cold approaches and you out and talk to girls and you're not afraid to talk to girls, because I talk to chicks all the time when I'm in the States, right? It's English. The thing here for me is a language barrier, but you even told me on the way here that's really not a big difference. So we might do something. We're thinking about putting together something with filming him training me. I don't know if that would be interesting for you guys. Let me know. We would film it and everything. And then, but yeah, going back to that, being able to do this, getting out in the real world and talking to these girls, you're not going to have a lot of competition. And then when you're doing it on this hard mode, which is going out, talking to girls in dry situation, cold leads, if you want to talk about sales. And then you're brought into a situation where you're like, a friend invites you out to a party and he's like, oh yeah, these are all my friends. There's like 25 girls and there's 10 guys. And you're already fucking hot from closing these cold leads. You were mentioning that when you go into this situation, then you have like a monumental advantage over these dudes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's just like the rejection again. It's like the whetstone. It's like you're forged in the fire. Your steel forged in the fire, and your edge is sharp, right? And you can see this, like, even like if I was gonna if I just sat in my room for 2 months, 3 months, my edge would get dull too. I'm not gonna regress down to like super baby level, but my edge will get dull, and it will take me some time to get back into things. It will take me several interactions, even a few hours, maybe even a couple days to get back into things to where I'm feeling sharp, where my mind is working quickly, right? And I think a lot of it is as well is your cognitive capacity, right? Right? And it's like when you do something, when you have to think about something that you're doing, it takes a lot more energy, right?
Yes.
So if you're thinking about like, how am I standing? Where do I stand? Like, if there's a girl walking this way, how do I stand and how do I move my hands and where do I look and what do I say, right?
Hands in my pocket, hands outside my pocket.
Yeah. What do I say? Do I talk about her? She's wearing an umbrella, or she has an umbrella. Does that affect?
Is she
anything,
ovulating?
right? Like, yeah. So the more things you have to think about, the harder it is for you to take that action, right?
Right.
So the purpose of repetition is basically to make it so that you have less things to think about. If you think of your conscious mind and you have all these processes, like if you open up your process manager on your computer or whatever, you have all these processes, right? How can you move some of them into the subconscious, right?
Yeah.
And make it so they're automatic, right? And you do that by going out and getting repetition, doing it over and over and over. And pretty soon everything's automatic, even leading escalation. And when everything's automatic, you're calm. You're like a lake with no waves in it, right? Right?
Yeah.
You're just like chill. And anything that happens, you can just roll with it, right? So she throws some bullshit in she's like, my boyfriend's gonna come right now in his car. You're just like, cool, let's just go this way for 5 minutes, right? Like you can handle anything, right? Once you've done enough repetitions, right? That's the power of repetition.
I think, I always talk about this in regard into like your repetition builds like your baseline skill, right? And then you're building your baseline skill, and then as you like have momentum, you get like a layer of skill above it. When you stop doing it, your momentum skill will bring you down to that baseline. But the more reps you put in, the more like part of you it is. Right, if I was like, Mateo, like we got to go pick up girls right now, you'd be like, all right, let's fucking go. Yeah. Like you would just walk outside and start doing it. But if a complete, like, for me, a guy that doesn't do it as much, it would be like, okay, like, am I dressing well? Like, like, what do I say? How do the logistics work out? I would want to know a bunch of things, And the only way people can get like you is like what you said. You have to step outside and you actually have to do it. And the reality is, like, there's not much, there's not much to fear.
Yeah, there's nothing to fear, except fear itself.
I was about to say that.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
MLD, how do brothers do with the ladies in Japan? Yeah, you got black friends that are killing it, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think the it's interesting because it's definitely more polarizing, right? There are girls that love it and there are girls that are not about it, right?
Yeah, the girls that love black dudes, like, they won't give us the time of day because we're just not black. You know what I mean?